Alright, What a Wild Spirit Brings by Lil, Chapter 14. The next day she wanted only to fight. In the morning she woke up in Mitten's bed alone. She got up, pulled on her Entha garb, and walked out to the yards. One was being used for spear training, another for swords. She chose spears. When spears ended, daggers began. After daggers she chose maces, and after that was the bow. Then before dusk, swords. Each weapon trained twice a day except daggers, and she wanted to do all of them. She wanted to train and focus, to be absorbed with sweat and stances and opponents. Once night fell, she went to the library and read about Entha until she fell asleep. She did not enter the Wilder. She wanted only to skip the day. The next morning, she woke up on the floor in front of the library fireplace. She arose to walk toward the door to go train, but Mitten was sitting in a red cushioned chair watching her. She didn't seem happy or mad, just was looking. Lil knew the woman must be wondering what was wrong with her. You like trees, so I've planned something special for you today. I have training. You have the day off. I told every teacher. Why? You didn't even ask me. You will like what I have in store for you. Lil sighed and let the woman lead her out to the carriage outside the library doors. They rode for a long time in silence, but finally she decided to stop, dishonoring herself by pouting. She was starting to think in the silence, and thinking was the last thing she wanted to do. Friend, where are we going? It is a surprise, Mitten said with a mischievous little smile, pleased to see Lil finally coming out from under her cloud. No hints? I already gave you one this morning. I forgot it. That doesn't surprise me. You woke in a foul mood. Well, yes. Oh, forget it. I am mad. There, I said it. Is that really it? I am mad and frustrated and angry and with myself. I am so stupid. I'm a fool to think. Just a fool. Again, silence for a while. So, Mitten Haldani, what is the hint? Please, I really do want to guess at it. Haldani gave a compassionate smile and said, We are almost there now, but the hint was that you like trees. Fear gripped Lil. Fife Forest? Inside, she was praying with all she was that it was anywhere else. What a fantastic guess! First try. But then, you always have been clever. We have to go back! Don't be absurd. It took hours to get here. We are not coming all this way to just turn around. Besides, I have something set up for you. No, I don't want to go, please! We have to go back! Why are you shouting? What are you afraid of, Lil? The carriage stopped. That is odd. We should have had another 10 minutes at least, Mitten said. Hail, Haldani! This is Ridrick of the Royal Guard of Caldorcan. The forest is under our patrol at the moment. Please wait here until we leave. The soldier outside did not sound like he was really asking. Mitten Haldani opened the door and stepped out. Lil peeked out at a row of soldiers. Damn. And what of the servants I had sent out here? We have them in custody. Custody? They are Haldani servants. You cannot hold them in... The silence was not of threatening, but of understanding. She climbed back in and shut the door. There was a rumble of earth coming from underneath and coming around the carriage. When it stopped, fury and question filled her face. You knew they would be here, and the only reason they would interfere with the Haldani business is to protect their king. He is here somewhere, and you knew it. What haven't you told me? What mess are we in? Light, how was I supposed to know you were going to take us here? I brought you here out of kindness. Now show me a kindness and tell me what's going on. Stop shouting, and I might. They both took a deep breath, glaring at each other. I have conspired in the assassination of the king. The deed is probably done, even now as we speak. I am proud to help kill that bastard and end this war. The earth began to fall from outside the carriage, and the Haldani stepped out. I want the servants brought to me. As you say, Haldani, when our business here is done. No, now. I will wait here, and you will go get them. I will not have them treated like prisoners when they serve Haldani. Move. And they did. Lil wanted to cheer the woman, but that was stifled almost immediately when the Haldani started into the woods after the last soldier was gone. Lil leapt out and after her. What are you doing? Hush your voice unless you want to be caught. We aren't supposed to even be here. We can't get involved or someone might think we had something to do with it. You can't let the name of the Haldani be... The carriage is covering with earth as we speak. They will assume we are inside, and when the time comes to open it, we will be. Right now, we are going to make sure whatever plan is in play is working. Lil couldn't believe it. She followed silently, in complete admiration of this Haldani. They crept swiftly toward the center of the wood. The closer they got, the more the guards were on patrol. Finally, Lil climbed a tree, and Mitten looked back to see where she had gone, saw her up the tree, and then looked confused. Lil jumped from her tree to another, and enlightenment struck Mitten Haldani's face. She climbed after Lil and copied her, so the Antha and the Haldani moved like squirrels toward the center of Five Forest. Once there, they found a warm glade with emerald grass. The fat king was sitting on a chair of cushions while a little boy was serving him grapes. In front of the king were 4 guards holding down Tindra. "I think you should all take turns raping her before she dies. As if a filthy Antha could get past my royal guard. Fool! Now you will suffer while they take your arrogance from you." "Repeatedly," Rutford was saying. Fury rose in Lil. She moved to jump down, but Mitten caught her arm. Lil still drew her dagger. There was no way she would let it happen. Were all men pigs? Then the king pulled the boy from his standing spot, sending the grapes sprawling on the ground. The boy was obviously drugged, and the king licked his lips. Tears started down the boy's face, but he didn't struggle. "We should all do some taking, as a matter of fact," the king said, laughing a little evil laugh. The soldiers laughed too and started pulling their plates off their legs one at a time, so the other 3 could keep holding down Tindra. It was too much. Lil didn't care what Mitten wanted. She had to take action. As one man pulled out his cock, and the king started shoving the little boy's face toward his own under his robe, Lil saw arrows made of earth pierce 3 soldiers male. Mitten had made a bow of air and was knocking 2 more arrows. Lil pulled out her mother's blade and ran toward the king, who was dropping the boy and shrieking at the sight of his bleeding soldiers. Tindra jumped up and pulled one of the fallen swords and drove it into the belly of the king, while an arrow pierced the last soldier and the king's neck. Lil got there in time to feel useless. "Little brave one!" Tindra cried and hugged her. Lil hugged her back, saying, "Light, it's good to see you." "You're Tindra, I presume," Mitten Haldani said as she came up behind the hugging women. "Oh, clan sister, this is Mitten Haldani. She is taking care of me." "Then not only do you honor me by helping this day, but also for caring for my dear little brave one. It is a good day." Mitten was more polite and just smiled, and shook her hand and smiled some more. Lil wanted to sing, she was so happy. She held her breath to keep from shouting with joy, and heard the boy still crying. She instantly ran to him. He didn't fight her when she picked him up. He was just limp and helpless. She started weeping and held him close. "A horrible thing, what he did to children," Tindra said and spat on the king's corpse. "We will take him, Lil, but we must go," Mitten said. "Lil, how cute, dear little brave one," Tindra said with fondness. Lil wanted to smile, but the boy was just too heartbreaking. "I will cover your tracks. None will know who did this," Tindra said. The arrows of earth pulled out of the dead men and crumbled into the dirt. Then all the tracks and traces of the encounter pushed out of the ground. Mitten smiled at the Antha as her runes all stopped floating and withdrew the length of their chains back to her loop on the back of her belt. Tindra smiled back at her new ally. "I will look forward to hearing more from you by way of Blacksean, dear little brave one. We must all go, but I will charge your Haldani friend with giving you another red right." "But I didn't help! You and Mitten Haldani did all the work. You set this whole circumstance up. You have earned your red right, or it would not be given. Do not dishonor yourself, dear little brave one." "As you say, Tindra, my dear clan sister," Lil said through fresh tears. They hugged one more time around the boy, then back up the trees and away, Tindra in one direction, the trio in another, back toward the carriage. Lil carried the boy on her back, not begrudging the slight weight of him, wishing he hadn't experienced all that he had. This poor, innocent little boy. The only thing she regretted about the success of the day, as she maneuvered from one thick, leafy tree to the next, was how quick a death Rutford got when he did not deserve it. When they arrived back, the soldiers were just getting there with the servants. Lil was worried, but Mitten simply made them hold to go down under the ground to the carriage. That filled up behind them even as it emptied ahead. Once through the floor of the carriage, she closed it, and heard tapping faintly from outside. The rumble of earth moving down, and then Mitten opened the door. Outside, the soldiers and servants were standing, and Ridrick looked annoyed. 2 soldiers stepped back as if they had been slamming their swords into the dirt. They probably were. "Here they are, Haldani. Now I must see to my liege." "Of course. Thank you for bringing them." She spoke like she were a queen. Lil realized in that moment she loved her. She might even be in love with her.